Well, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And once again, we bring you another episode. We'll call it an edition of Elevating You, Reaching Your Peak. Craig Can, Mike Mooney, but as always now, or as often as we possibly can, we're bringing in Jill Bauer. And it's good to be with you, everybody. Brand new, inspiring career conversations each and every week. And as we've said many times, Mike and I, he's up in the Poconos, by the way. And Jill, where are you? Are you in Delaware at your lake house? Are you at home? Where are you exactly?
No, I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in Pennsylvania.
I've got two in Pennsylvania.
Down in the basement.
There we go.
This is the office. Let's cue the B-52s.
As we've said many times, we are here just to have some good conversation. And to all of you that are listening, wherever, however, on your phones, on your computers, etc. We just want to make this something that can help you. That's the entire goal of this conversation. We try to pick topics each week that are relevant for all of us. And maybe we've been through it individually. Maybe we've been through it as a collective group, but hopefully we can help you with some of that. Yeah. And so, as I've said before, it's great to have Jill on board, Mike Mooney from Mooney Consulting and Just Jill Creative, but I'm really thrilled because they're now part of the Can Advisory Group, and we'll get into what we're doing and who we're hoping to be helping and some of the cool things that we're offering in just a little bit. But that's for a separate conversation. And I just want to start, before we even get into last week, get a little comment from each of you about what your week's been like and what you've been doing. I will say this, Jill, and I'm going to let you go first. The number of people that have been watching this over the last few weeks, I mean, we are skyrocketing. And I'm serious. We're at about 30,000. Oh, there you go. That's all right. It's happened to me once before, and it's happened to Mike once before.
Sorry. Okay. I've been indoctrinated.
Yeah, that's okay.
You're in. You're in, friend.
We are upwards of 30,000 views on this over the last couple of weeks. So awesome. I'm really excited about that. Awesome. And hopefully you're enjoying it as well. What's going on, Jill?
Well, good morning, everybody. Nice to see everyone, and thanks to everyone who's tuning in. It's been a busy week for me. We were talking before we started. I was on the Today Show earlier this week. Mm-hmm. I've got a couple things coming up with them. I got off my segment with them. I was checking my messages. I had something else from them that they want me to work on. So that's keeping me plenty busy. But, I have some other stuff going on over on justjill.com. Some new recipes and things that I'm working on, and some other interesting business opportunities coming up. So I was talking to Mike about that a little bit before we got started. Sometimes things you sort of thought about but weren't really sure were the right path present themselves in another way. So more to come on that, but I'm excited. And I'm always excited to be with you guys because I think we have some great conversations, and the feedback I've been getting from people on my page has been like, this is now my Thoughtful Thursday. You're all really engaging and charismatic. It's easy to listen to you guys. So I think we're building something really special here, and people are taking things away. And I know that's really the mission for all three of us.
Well, guess what, Jill? I got to tell you something.
That's awesome.
And by the way, if there's an echo in my audio today, it's because if you really knew what was behind me, the fact is there's nothing. There's one thing hanging on the wall. Everything else, I'm in the middle of a move, and I've got a few boxes on the floor and a cat walking around the house trying to figure out where he's supposed to go. He has no place to go. But here, I will say this, as I sip a little coffee today, I took great information from your little hit with the Today Show and Hoda and everybody on cleaning your coffee pot and all the appliances. Now, there's some things I am not going to do. I'm going to be honest with you. That is way above my pay grade. I mean, I know what things I can handle and what things I can't, but I think I can pour a little extra water and a little vinegar into a coffee maker, and I'm good. And I'm not a Keurig guy just yet. So there you go.
All right, good.
For that personally. Okay.
It'll taste better, I promise.
Yeah, you did a great job with that. Mike, what's going on, buddy? How you doing today?
I am doing great, and good morning, everybody. So I've been up here in the Poconos all week, and for some of you who may know or may not know, aside from my speaking and coaching, I do a lot of work with very close work for the past couple of years with a a company called Pocono Organics, and we're the largest regenerative organic farm in North America, doing some amazing work in the area of educating people around the power of food and using food as medicine. And so we were launching up here, opened up a couple weeks ago. And actually have just also launched in the CBD world for wellness plans and programs too. So we have a lot going on, and I'm up here probably like once a month for about a week. So you may see this background from time to time as we continue the show. But again, as always, just great to be with you all. Just love the feedback we're getting, and Jill, to your point, it's something I found in this journey over the last 2.5 years for myself, since I made my pivot from where I was in motorsports, is that when you put the ball in play, when you are intentional and moving in a direction, it's amazing the other doors that open up, or the people that cross your path, or the opportunities that show up that you would never have ever dreamed of being a part of. And I think that's sort of the beauty of again, it sounds cliche, the journey, but it truly is. Truly is. Yeah. So I'm excited for you, and what you're seeing now as you're stepped out, and no doubt it's just
it's one of those things. I think that it all starts though with the leap.
Yeah, it definitely starts with a leap. Yeah. You can't be afraid to do that. I will say that.
Well, fingers crossed. But like I was saying, I think it all starts with that.
Yeah, I think we're losing Jill's audio a little bit there, Mike.
She'll a little bit.
She'll rejoin us. I will say this: I've got just when we're done, I've got an individual consulting, and that's one of the things about this platform that's been really great is the opportunity to engage with people from a distance and not necessarily be right there. And things start coming at you that you didn't expect. So we're going to get done with this, and I'm going to be working one-on-one with somebody, and I've got another one coming down the line, and a call yesterday about working with people. And I think this platform has given us all some opportunities to showcase some of the things that we're doing. All right, with that, hopefully we've got Jill back. Here we go. I want to get.
Yep, I'm here. Can you see me? Hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We got you, girl. Yep.
To our topic of last week, which was ageism in the workplace. And people are still watching it. I posted it on my YouTube channel, the exact segment that we did. And it is blowing the doors off some of the other segments that we had, which were all very well received. But that was our topic last week. And so as we do each and every week, we give people the opportunity to ask some questions. And I picked the one that I think is the best, and probably in a way one of the toughest to answer for each and every one of us. And Mike, I'm going to let you go first with this. So it's all,
ladies first, please.
No. It's Paul from Massachusetts who says this: how do you state your case and convince people of your relevancy at an older age when you are trying to transition into a different industry or different roles? Now, that's not an easy question to answer, but it is, it's basically saying, I've done this for a long time. Now I want to do this, but I've got to showcase my abilities and my talents and prove that I'm worthy of being given that opportunity. Now, each and every one of us on this screen right now has basically taken our own leap of faith and kind of gone out as an independent contractor. I think this conversation is from somebody who may want to consider doing that, but also wants to consider, maybe going into a different industry, but working for somebody else. So one more time with the question, and I'll let you answer it, each of you. How do you state your case and convince your relevancy at an older age when you are trying to transition into a different industry or role altogether? Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath on that one. I would start with this, is that there's actually great strength in the position you're coming from, Paul, if you're looking at this from where you are in your career and age, because with career and age brings experience. And that allows you to, what they call those transferable skills and experiences, more so than someone maybe on the earlier end of the career spectrum. But I really believe, and this is something that I did personally, is I had to take stock in all the experience points that I had and be very specific in how I related and connected them to the opportunity that was in front of me. Relevance is all about impact and what you can bring in a timely manner. That's what relevance is. It's relevant to me because I need it now. So I would encourage you to really take a good inventory of the work you've done, know exactly in the target of where you're trying to get to, and then build that bridge of here is how I can be relevant by tying what I've done to what I can do, the impact and the value that I've brought. So that's what I did in my case when I went from marketing, communications, branding for motorsports teams to now going out on my own as a speaker and a coach and a consultant.
I think you have to look at some of the success stories that you've had in the prior industry and the prior work that you've done. Write down the top 5 and figure out if there's a link to what you've done that shows some of your greatest strengths and skills that you can add value with people. And I would also say to Paul, try to align with somebody in the industry in which you want to go and find a way if you can complement each other. I mean, I think this is a perfect example. What we're doing here, we all come from different backgrounds to a degree. Jill and I come from exactly the same background, but yet we went in different directions with that skill set and then made impacts in certain areas that way. And then I transitioned into the business aspect of sports in an executive opportunity and then went on my own. You, Mike, did your thing in marketing communications, as you said, but had so much experience in working with teams and corporations and all of that. And so I think it's important for Paul to try to align himself with some people. Jill, what are your thoughts on this?
I love that.
Well, I mean, it's not that different than what you were talking about. I think that bridge of what you accomplished, where you were working, and how those skills or successes can translate into something new. What I don't know that I would necessarily focus on is the fact that I did this for 25 years and this is what I can do for you. It's more about what did you do within those 25 years? It's not the length of time, it's what's the result of that time. And how then does that support a new business venture or a new job opportunity or a pivot in what you're looking to do. I think it's more to both of the point of that both of you made. It's about, let's look at your successes and what do those successes say about you in terms of how you communicate, how you are as a worker, a researcher, an analyst, a salesperson, and then how is that then going to be of service in this new role?
Yeah, great point. I think it's important also to steer away from saying, I've done this for 25 years. You're actually, in the topic of ageism, throwing the number out at people. Exactly. And while your experience is great, don't promote the number of years that you've been doing it. I'm very careful to say, I've done TV for 30 years or media for 30 years. That immediately tells people, well, let me backtrack. Graduated about that. Okay, first off, age is just a number. We've already talked about that. And you're talking about your experience. That's what you want to share with people. And then dig in. There's Mike's term. Dig in and venture into some social media space and talk about some of those experiences that you've had and try to connect through those experiences. I think that can be real important. Get your name out there, get your face out there. The perfect segue.
What a segue, man.
You're good.
Segue. It's like, wow.
I know.
Have you done this before?
Somebody said bridge, and I'm building one. Here we go. Today's topic, branding via social media and engagement. And I think this is important. Now, I preach this all the time. We live in a world where attention spans are short. Grabbing people's attention is currency. It is value. It is dollars to that. I mean, I'm not suggesting you're going to make a bunch of money just because somebody's paying attention to you, but I'm saying there is incredible, incredible value in that. So what we want to talk about today is, all right, how do we elevate ourselves and use social media to help us to be more recognizable, to show our successes, to show our strengths, etc., and build our brand, personal brand, professional brand. And how do we engage? That's the topic today. Now, because branding is such a big part of this topic, I'm going to let Mike go first because this is his wheelhouse. This is where he spends the majority of his time. And Mike, I'm going to let you take a crack at this thing. Branding via social media. What's the first thing that comes to your mind about helping somebody else?
First thing that comes to mind, Craig, and I got to tell you, this topic excites me because in today's world with social media and the different platforms we have amazing opportunities to create impact, right? Ignite light and shift perspectives on things. All of us. And I think the first thing that I typically get into, and whether it be in coaching or conversations or the work I've done with drivers, professional motorsports drivers over the years, is getting people to understand that, yes, you are a brand, right? There are people out there who will say, oh, I'm a person. I'm a person. I'm not a brand. Oh, okay. Well, then look, we won't need to get into semantics on that. But here's the reality is that if you look at what a brand is, even from a corporate standpoint, it's a promise. It's a promise of an experience. And that's something that we can all learn from ourselves as we are putting ourselves out there. And as people are able to check in and see us and see what we're doing, what is the experience that they can expect to have by interacting with us? So I think first and foremost, we have to really recognize that, yes, we are brands. We have reputations. We have the opportunity to engage, but more importantly, to connect and influence. So that's the first thing that I would just ask people to ground themselves, and it's okay. It's okay to embrace that. Absolutely okay to embrace that.
Yeah.
When
I do my workshops, the first thing I tell people once they've been seated is, if you walked in this room believing that you are not a brand, then you have immediately cut your legs out from under you before we even get started here today. You have not given yourself enough value, because the strength of the spoken or the written word is only as strong as the platform you've worked to build the brand, to give you relevancy, to give you value to other people. Yeah. So before you put pen to paper or a post out there, think about what it is that you want to say, build strong, and figure out what you're going to put out there that's going to add relevancy to somebody. And I always tell people this. When it comes to social media, take a look at your last 10 posts. I don't care what platform they're on. Take a look at the last 10 and see if there's a trend, see if there's a consistency, because that is your brand. That is what you are putting out there, whatever it might be. Now, if we're talking to college kids, be careful, okay? And I was probably one of those kids. If social media was a big thing back then, I'd have been like, look out. And Joe could attest to that. But, you've got to look, would your grandmother be proud of what you're putting out? Would your parents say, nice job, nice work? Would the coworkers that you have say, you know what, that's you, that's what's out there. So those are just a couple of the things that come to my mind. And lastly, I would say this, because I think it's really important. As an individual, we need to think about how we might be better than our competition, whomever that might be within our industry or among our coworkers. It doesn't mean we're trying to one up them or anything like that. How are we better? But more importantly, how are we different than somebody else? Because that's what is our brand. And we have to figure that out as soon as possible, figure out what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are that we have, build on those strengths, put ourselves out there, be different, be unique, and help build our brand that way. And then we'll talk a little bit more in a minute about how each and every one of us has used some social media. But Jill, what are your thoughts on branding through social media? What comes to mind about brand for you?
Well, I mean, I think obviously when you're looking at somebody's feed, whether that's Instagram or, TikTok or Facebook, whatever it is, I mean, it's telling your story. So, there needs to be some thought put into what is the story I want told about me. I mean, we can all look at anybody's feed, and whether people realize it or not so much public figures, because, people are doing that for them. But when you're looking at an everyday person like us, when you look at those feeds, you can tell a lot about them. And I think people need to realize do I really want all of that out there? And is that really going to help what I'm doing? Some people use those platforms as a place for making social statements, fine. But you need to consider, is that is that something that you want to affect your brand as you're going to be, looking for a job, changing careers, putting your message out there? And does that align with what you're doing in the professional space? There has to be some kind of delineation there between what really is appropriate when it comes to personal and what really should I be sending the message of in my brand professionally. And the other thing too that I just wanted to touch on, and you talked about engagement, Craig. People get all caught up on the number of followers they have. And, oh my gosh, I don't have any followers. The number, and I can tell you this because I'm in this space now, and this is how I'm making my living now. The number of followers is not as important as the engagement you have from the followers you do have. So that's why it's so important that you are interacting with those people, having conversations with them, building a bridge within your own niche and community, because that is all what is going to help give you the support that you're looking for, but also a way for you to really leverage that social media presence because you have an engaged community.
All right. So I've put two things in front of our audience about social media and the topic of branding, and they're both going to tie into exactly what you said. And I really believe these. Number one, the purpose of social media is not to be known. If you're looking at social media as this, hey, look at me, I think you're going about it the wrong way. There's a difference between being known and being knowable. And being knowable means you're adding some value to people. Hey, do you know Jill? She does this. This is what she can do for you, etc. Do you know Mike Mooney? Yeah, I know Mike Mooney. Well, what is he known for? What is he out there to share with other people? What does he provide? And then to the point that Jill just made, I wanted to put this in front of everybody because it is about followers and social media in that role. Don't waste all this time trying to chase followers. That's a fruitless task, okay? They come to you. Yes, you can put things out there and hope that they'll come. But if you consistently deliver value content, in other words, you're not just using social media, let's just use Twitter as an example, as a way to just basically text somebody, hey, I'm just engaging with one person, but you're providing something that makes somebody emotionally charged. I think that's an important two words, emotionally charged, to connect and also share, compelled to share what it is that you're providing. That's where your followers come from. So again, don't folks spend time chasing followers. I think that's a waste of time. Your job is to spend your time. If you want to build your brand, you want to spend your time on social media going, all right, how can I do something that shows who I am, to Mike's point, who I am, what I stand for, what my strengths are, to what Jill's point was, and then hopefully you're helping others by what it is you're putting out there. If you do all that, the audience, let's pretend they're in a room, they're going to walk out of the room after reading your content and they're going to go tell somebody else, did you see, or do you know, or hey, guess what Jill, Mike, Frank, Betsy can possibly do to help you. I think those are some really important thoughts to share there, Mike.
Yeah, I would build on that too to maybe get a little tactical on this. Something that I used quite often in my time in motorsports and working with drivers or with executives was asking them, like, what are your three hooks? What are those three hooks that you're trying to be known for, or that's really driving you? So I'll give you an example for me personally, because I took my own advice. Don't do that, but it's good once in a while. And I did that for me, and when I was developing my brand. And for me, the three hooks were empowering, inspiring, and educating. And underneath those, that's how I kind of set up what messages do I want to send? How do I want to send them? Where do I send them? What is that key message? And if what I'm saying isn't aligning with one of those hooks for me, then it's sort of I've either got to figure out how to make it part of empowering, inspiring, or educating, or it's out of brand for me. It's not right for me. So I would just throw that out there as a thought, because it's something that can help keep you grounded. Because I think sometimes you see in feeds like Jill, you were mentioning, looking back, and Craig, you said the same thing. Look at the last 10. It looks kind of like people are all over the map with what they're posting. If you're trying to be intentional in building your brand professionally, personally, then you want to have some continuity and consistency. The hooks can help you.
Yeah, I actually posted something on LinkedIn earlier today that's specifically tied to social media. I did that for a reason. That was our topic today, and I wanted to provide something for the audience that would be watching me on LinkedIn that they could use, hopefully, to help them dive in on this very topic. You mentioned the topic, Mike, of when I was building my brand, Okay, I think that's interesting because I'm going to go back to my days at Golf Channel, and Jill could relate to this on QVC. I don't know that I walked in the building or walked into the makeup chair or went into the studio to sit there and thought about, I'm going to build my brand tonight over this half hour or this hour. What I tried to do was come to work each and every day. Yesterday was gone. Today's a new day. How can I make it the best show possible? I've got 2 people to my left or 1 person to my right, whatever it might be. How can I make them better? I always thought about that. How can I not only have a good show? I mean, I was the host, so I was kind of the quarterback, if you will, and I'm either handing the ball off or throwing the short pass, whatever it might be. How can I make them better? And if that happens, the show is collectively a good show in that regard. But I'm also trying to entertain. I mean, let's call it for what it is. There's an entertainment value. Yeah. When I then went to the LPGA as an executive, my goal each and every day was to not only listen to what other people were saying and try to learn, because it was a new venue for me, but I also wanted to be an ideation guy and provide some of my ideas. And where it fit, I could add the value of some of my experiences, most being, how do you understand media? How do you get more media? How do we communicate to other people? How do we connect to other people? So I walked in feeling like, okay, these are my strengths. I'm going to stay in here's a Mike Mooney. I'm going to stay in my lane. Okay. I'm not going to veer off. I'm going to focus on the things. And that is, I believe, how a brand is built, is through the strengths that you provide and the consistency that you provide that. Correct?
No, you're exactly right. And as you were saying that, Craig, you're saying, well, I wasn't thinking of building my brand. I was going in every day to serve and help and do the best I can. That's building your brand, man. I mean, with consistency and time, that's what your brand's going to be. So here's the other reality check, is that whether you want to build a brand or you don't, it's still going to be built based on what you do every day. So why not own it? Why not shine? Why not let it help you blow open doors of opportunity? I mean, listen, this is exactly what Jill's experiencing right now. She has built this brand over a career, a high profile career, but it has taken a leap, and I'm going to say leap into faith, not of faith, but a leap into faith of this next chapter. And because of what she's built over those years, she's seeing opportunities come her way. I mean, whether that was intentional, whether it was unintentional, I have to believe it's intentional. But this is exactly what we're talking about.
Well, Jill, and the one thing to send it to you right now on this is adding to what Mike just said. All that is true. There was a period of about 4 years before I left the Golf Channel, but I did start thinking about it more. But what I will say is that all that time, through those transitions and periods of my career, the minute I hang my own shingle out and say, now this is what I'm doing, I'm consulting, I'm speaking, I'm doing leadership workshops, people should already then know what I brought to the table. And thus it gives me the credibility to help other people. Jill.
Right. So, for me, same sort of story, Craig. When I was starting at QVC, I wasn't really thinking about being a brand, right? I was just Jill. And that is my brand now. Isn't that funny? But as we talked about a couple weeks ago, when I started with the whole Your Home with Jill, platform at QVC, because I really loved home and I wanted to take my passion, that really became my brand. Yeah. The challenge for me was, so I had this great audience for many years, to support me. But when I left QVC, now, who was really going to know me? And so being able to really rest on the things that I had put in place with that brand and staying true to that in this transition from QVC host to just Jill, really, like that I think is why I've been successful with the social media following that I have. You know, I started from zero when I left QVC. But I stayed true to my brand. And what does that mean for me? Well, I kept within that niche of all things home, right? So I'm giving her the recipes, I'm giving her the home decor tips. That's really where I wanted to focus, and that's been really successful. I've made a commitment that I will not be featuring products or give recommendations about products or entertain sponsorships with posts with other brands unless they're things I really use. And what I've come to find is that more than Your Home with Jill was my brand at QVC. I was like Lisa Kudrow on Friends, the lady who sings and tells the truth. People trusted me. People trusted me. Yeah. That is the cornerstone of my brand, is that trust. They trust me. And that's because I never claimed to use anything I didn't. I never tried to sell them anything. In fact, I never thought of myself as a salesperson. My goal was to simply give all the information that I could about the product in a very thorough and friendly way and let them make that decision. And I used that power of endorsement very carefully, because I recognize that people are smart and you can't own and use everything, and they would catch on. And that just was not a path I was going to go down. So to wrap this back around to the whole social media brand story, taking that foundation that I built, putting it now out on social media. And yeah, you can see on my platforms, things are done very intentionally. There's balance. There's a balance of everything that I've built, but it's all designed to serve those that are coming along for the ride, to give them tips, to give them recipes, to give them insight, to give them inspiration. It's not about me. It's really about them.
Well, actually, I'm going to say something that might trip you up on that last comment, that it's not about you. Now, there are a lot of people that work very hard to attract clients and new business. Here's my message to all of you who do that on a day-to-day basis. I want you to intentionally think about this question: who is my most important client? And the most important client is you. And if you don't focus on you and be a little bit selfish in that regard and spend time building that, you need to strengthen yourself, figure out at your core what you are allowed to deliver, what you bring to the table, what you can share with other people. I think it's really important to focus on yourself and then go out there intentionally with what Jill was talking about. I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to be known for and knowable for. I think that's important. Now, there are a lot of companies, and I talk with them, and they're like, I've done these workshops for the better part of 4.5 years, and people are saying, social media is just not really a big thing for us. And I always challenge them with this comment. Okay, so your business maybe doesn't necessarily want to spend a lot of time doing social media. Okay, well then let me ask you this question. Should your business be sharing its story and sharing some of the good things that you do and the people that you've impacted and the contributions that you've made? Should you be putting that out there? Would you have a marketing budget? Would you ever advertise? If the answer to that is yes, then what are you waiting for? Social media is, to the best of my knowledge, unless somebody hasn't told me something, it's basically free. It's not pay per post or pay per view, and until it is,
and it's no longer a fad.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, it is the real deal. Boy, go watch my LinkedIn post. That's exactly what I said. So until it's pay per view or pay per post, I'm going to ride the thing right into the ground. But I'm going to do it with a purpose. I'm not going to do it just to do it. And I always reread every post a couple times before I actually send it out there. So I think those are some things to think about. And lastly, I would say this, and then I want to go ahead, Mike. Go.
Well, I've just got, sorry, man. I've got two quick things I want to add. One is, is that we have to realize that we are living in an age of what's called social proof. So we may have a conversation. We may have this chat right now. I may speak to you on the phone. I may see you in coffee for coffee. But either before or right after, people are going to go check you out. They're going to look on LinkedIn. They're going to look on Twitter. They're going to look on Instagram, because I want to see, is this going to match up? Is what I'm going to experience in real time going to match up with what I'm seeing? You know, I think I mentioned this on one of the other shows that we did of the hiring executive sitting there at a desk reading a resume, and the person interviewing on the other side, and the hiring manager says, well, you know, according to LinkedIn, you are, you know, focused on details, you're motivated, and you get results. But according to Facebook, you enjoy Jack Daniels and you're very comfortable with your body. You know, so it's making sure that there's consistency, because people are going to look, people are going to want to see what's going on, right? And they can now, and they can.
Yes.
So social proof, people.
Yeah, very, very true. Success to me is based upon opportunities. And should the goal not be to try to create those opportunities for yourself, to try to make them happen? And if that's the case, then if you want opportunities to come your way, they don't just fall out of the sky. You've actually got to put some stuff out there that suggests, okay, this is what I can bring to the table. This is either A, as a company, why you need me, what value I can add. That just don't buy into this, I'm a team player, I give 110% line. I need specifics. I need to know what contribution you're going to make. And social media gives you that opportunity. So now, before we put a wrap on today's conversation, I think it's important. Okay, we've shared enough information about what we think about the overall topic. Now let's give people a little homework, if you will. Okay, what should they do to jump into social media with the proper purpose, to get the proper engagement, which I believe is a form of currency? All right, Jill, I'm going to let you go first on that, and I think Jill is a perfect example of pick your platform. Notice I didn't say pick your poison. Pick your platform and own it. Okay, go ahead, Jill.
Yeah. So first of all, I think it's important that everybody doesn't need to be everywhere. LinkedIn, obviously, for professional reasons, is very, very important. But I think finding the one platform that you want to focus on is most important. And quite frankly, it's so easy to share from one platform to the other that you could really focus on Instagram, but still share it to your Facebook and get double coverage. I think you have to think about, what is my message going to be? What is my message about myself personally that can be visible in the pictures and the posts that I put up? But also, what is my message in terms of how I can help you or what I can share? I did a talk with a realty group earlier this year and really encouraged them to be maximizing their presence on social media. You know, they should be doing their tours of their listings in photos. They should be reminding people that, you know, that this, you know, don't forget to look at this when you're buying a home. You know, here's where mortgage rates are, giving basic information, finding what the information is within your niche and diversifying it in your posts. It's really not that hard. Yeah. And the other thing I would say is, just make sure that anytime you're going to be in a photo, be camera ready. Again, that's part of your brand too. So if you're trying to present this brand that you're building, or who you are as an employee, as somebody who's polished and attention to details, and your pictures aren't that great, that sends a conflicting message. And again, it's not that hard to brush your hair and put on a nice top or a tie for the picture, or whatever it is, and you know, use that then as your photo sort of as you go through. And the last thing too, real quickly, there's also nothing wrong with showing a picture of yourself. Back to what you were saying, Craig, when we were sort of saying, is it about you? Is it about what you're serving? You know, put a picture of yourself up there, and in your post, that's where you tell your story too, because that keeps people engaged. And when they read that information, then they have something to respond to. So it's not always about the picture on Instagram, which a lot of people think that it is. The most engaging posts are those that have content below that people can interact with.
Yeah, videos and pictures are big. I'll add one little thing before I jump to you on this, Mike. I'm very intentional about how I use LinkedIn. I'm also very intentional about how I use Can Advisory Facebook. I'm also very intentional about how I use Can Advisory Twitter. Now, my own personal Twitter, I do the same thing, and I post a lot of content, and I will promote at times, my podcast debuting season 2, August 17th. But I also will use Instagram to humanize myself a little bit too. And I'll give you an example, and I think it's important. I want people. Jill said, "Be camera ready." Okay. Now, I will be truthful. I rarely, if ever, will get a photo taken where I might be out at a party or at a at a restaurant in the lounge or whatever, holding a drink. Okay, I'm not usually going to do that. But the other night I was packing. I had nothing around me but boxes, and I was thinking, this is my last night in my place that I've been in for 3-4 years. And I'm a Chicago guy, and I don't know if you saw my post, but I had a home run in pizza, frozen pizza, and I love Chicago home run in frozen pizza. And I put a Bud Light there. I had one beer left in my fridge that had been there for, I have no idea how long. I didn't look at the born on date, but I'm like, here's my night tonight, folks. And I put it out there. And the reason why is I just want people to know, you know what? Just Jill. She's just Jill. She's just a regular person who does this. Yeah. Man, I like to be out on the back deck, barbecuing, throwing some steaks on the grill, some burgers on the grill, and by gosh, I'm going to have a frozen pizza and a Bud Light. But if I show up to your company and I'm going for 8 hours or whatever, you're going to get every single bit of me. But I want you to know I can connect and I can relate to people.
That's a really good point, Craig. Really, really good.
Yeah. And the beer was actually okay. All right, Mike, go ahead.
Well, it's a great segue, Craig, because that was one of the points that I wrestled with early on, especially with Instagram, where people were saying, well, you should have a business Instagram as well as your personal, and it goes on. I said, you know what? For Instagram specifically, no, I want people to be part of the journey. They're going to be part of the ride. I want them to connect with me. And that's not just camera ready. And it's not just on stage. It's going to be with my family. It's going to be sharing funny things or, just daily life. I think that's the other part of this idea of building brand, is that it's got to be relatable. It's got to be something that people can connect with and not feel like you are above all others. So I would encourage people to think about, let people in, but not all the way. You've got to put up some barriers there, but let them see that you are human. Sometimes in our not best places or when things aren't always perfect, because that's the problem, my opinion, with social media, is that everyone's playing their highlight reels, and then we end up in our own minds playing our bloopers. And I think there's an opportunity for us to be able to really show who we are. The other part of it, though, I would suggest, and this is a strategy that I use and would encourage people to use, and it was in my book, since you're plugging your podcast, in my book,
Reputation
it's called
Shift.
Thank you. It's called Visualize Your Instant Replay. And what I love about instant replays is that not only does it slow things down, but it gives you the opportunity to look at a play from different perspectives. And what you thought was in is actually out. Well, I'd encourage people to do the same thing before you hit post, is to think, how is this going to look from my family life, my professional life, my faith life? Like, just try to think of the impact.
Sorry.
It's okay. Just think about the different ways that this post could be taken. Right, Craig, you said that. I always think before I hit post, and I just think that's also very important.
What will people do? What will people say? What will they tell others about what you did or what you said?
Yeah, I mean, how is it going to look through another lens? It might look funny and good personally, is not going to show up well, on your work front.
Social media is about being social. Social media is about being social. Pick your platform, folks. Start with that. Pick one that works, that you feel comfortable with, and then start building. If you haven't blogged, find a way to blog, but do it with a purpose. And a blog doesn't need to be this long. It can be this long. Seth Godin's a perfect example. I don't know if you've ever seen him. His blog posts are like 4 paragraphs at the most. I think it's important to do that. Find something that works for you. Put yourself out there. Content, something that adds value. Don't brag about what you're going to do. Talk about what you've done, but most importantly, how it's impacted others. Okay. That's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to add value. Jill, I'll give you one final thought before we move into what next week's topic is.
Well, I mean, I think social media is a really great opportunity, and there are people who say, "Oh, I can't stand social media." But I think if you do look at it through an opportunity for yourself, for branding, for finding that mix of professional and personal. I think when I was talking about being camera ready, maybe a better, way to say that was just be camera aware. So to Mike's point, just be aware that what you're posting, make sure everything is in alignment, and that can be alignment in who you are in your professional life, but who you are as a person too. And I agree with that 100%. There are so many ways to get started. The hardest thing is just getting started. So take a look at your Instagram page today, if that's where you're going to focus, and think, all right, so what can I change in the way that I'm, posting, that's more in line with what Craig and Mike and Jill were talking about this morning. And the other thing too, look at other people's pages in your industry or niche and see how they're using it. I've learned a lot in the home decor niche space. And I also have connected through Instagram by commenting on their posts and letting them know I really like what they're doing. And then they come to my page and they comment on mine. So there is a really great community out there of people, but take a look around a little bit and see what others are doing so that you have a better idea of the path you want to head out on.
Yeah, be authentic as well, folks. I struggle with some people on LinkedIn that are leaders, and you can clearly tell they're not the ones posting the information. They have other people doing it for them. To me, if you're having somebody else be your voice, I'm not into that. I need it to be authentic, and maybe I'll post less. Maybe I would have somebody do it for me later down the line, but if I do that, I'm going to make sure I am in great contact with them, and they're going to have some of my words, my beliefs, my thoughts, etc. So I think that's really important. So final thing on social media here, and I just want to remind people, set a goal, make yourself knowable. Don't focus on being known. With that, next time, this is the topic: the lost art of connection. The lost art of connection. Why it's so important, why it's your most important career tool. And I think you got 3 people sitting right here that have been tied to communication. And I think you're going to hear a little bit from Jill that has to do with a fence and a backyard. And that's all I'll say on that. That's my tease. But I'm excited to hear about that. That's our topic the next time. And with that, I also want to share with everybody kind of what we've banded together to do. So I mentioned at the very beginning that Jill, Mike, and I are now all kind of united here with Can Advisory, offering some things. And what we're currently doing in this space, COVID space that we're working within, which I think is not going to change much over the years, because it's changing how we do business. It's changing how we connect with our customers, with our potential clients. So what we're offering is a webinar series called Present to Win. It's 2 hours with Can Advisory Group. You get the 3 of us. You pick your sales team, you pick your marketing team, you pick your whatever team, and we'll deliver one power-packed interactive webinar. And I will say, it will be a transformational experience. It will change people. Everybody's got great messages, I think, and hopefully you believe that through listening to us here, you will learn and understand that we can play off each other quite well. What are the benefits exactly? Well, we'll inspire your teammates, no question about that. We'll create dynamic influencers within your industry. We will get leaders to connect and understand the value of communication. And we're going to do it through this little camera right here. We're going to teach people how to use this space to create confident brand ambassadors for your organization. And most of all, and I think this probably is the most important thing, this virtual workshop is going to build internal relationships. We're talking about culture. We're talking about deeper team relationships that I think are so important today. people are starving for that interaction that they're not getting, and we're here to help deliver it. So how do you do that? Well, all you have to do is connect with us, info@canadvisory.com, and we'll talk to you about the Elevate series, workshops and webinars, virtual space. Jill, your thoughts on what I just shared?
Listen, it's really exciting that we are still able to connect with people this way, and to do these webinars. I know that Mike and I are really excited to be working with you in that capacity, Craig. And we want to help people. We want people to know that even though the face of business has changed a little bit, there's still so much that you need to be doing to elevate how you're connecting. It's even more important now to know how to connect, to know how to make those relationships work, and to tell those stories. So I can't wait to get started to work on that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I know we've been getting a lot of interest, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
So we're ready to get started. And again, like I mentioned last week, if you're watching right now, and maybe you're retired, but in your son or daughter's business, or in friends of yours who are running a business, and they're kind of not knowing how to, take things to the next level in this world that we're operating in, listen, pass our information along. Just because people inquire doesn't mean you're committed, but we would love to see how we can work with anybody out there that's looking to take things to the next level.
30 seconds, Mike. When's the best time to plant a tree?
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. But Craig, let me ask you, when's the next best time?
I know the answer because you and I work together.
Today, friends. It's the sense of urgency. If not today, when? If not who, then why not me? So we have to really be in a place to own the story, to feel empowered by the story, believe in the story. And oftentimes people just aren't there yet. And that's the beauty, I think, of what we're going to bring. I know we're going to bring to this experience, is helping people own that story, shape it to bring forth, to elevate them. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Well, that's a wrap, folks. Want to thank everybody for paying attention to us and giving us a little bit of your time on Thursdays. We will share this on our own platforms, within 24 hours. So if you missed anything, you can watch the entire episode today, Elevating You, and that topic that we just shared about branding and social media. So I hope you've enjoyed that. To Mike, to Jill, thanks so much. And I hope you guys have a great week. And to everybody out there, fire those questions at us. You can post them on our Facebook pages. You can post them on LinkedIn. Wherever you see this, feel free, because we do pull those questions for next week's conversation. Thursdays at 9 Eastern, Elevating You, helping you reach your peak. And with that, I say, Mike, Jill, have a wonderful day. Great to be with you. Thanks so much.
Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.